Well, hello! It's time for another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is the show where I talk about the fountain pens and inks that I've been using throughout the week. And what a week it's been. So, if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And do you have any advice for me on how to get the Leica Photos app to work? Yeah, it worked when I got the camera, and I can't work it tonight. So, yeah, doing it on the cell phone. And admittedly, I haven't had the time to play with it this week the way I'd like. So, yeah, let's dive into the pens. Alright, so these are the pens that I've been using this week from left to right. I have the Parker 25. I have a Pevdi. I have a Parker 51. Not the new one. This is the original. Parker Duofold. Parker Slimfold. Parker Jotter. Is there a theme there? Stipula. Stipula Etruria. Conklin Word Gauge. Platinum Izumo. And the Garant Silke. As always, I'll be doing my writing in this cognitive surplus journal. So my first pen this week is the Parker 25. In its day, this was a lower cost pen. Kind of strange looking. And yet, when you post it, which I usually don't post pens, but when you post it, it actually makes sense and it's quite attractive. I'm told that this green section is a little less common. I didn't realize that when I filmed my first impression. And of course, it's a branded pen. I don't recall a nib size, but I'm going to go with a medium because that's what it looks like. And this is Parker Quink Washable Blue, which is the ink I've tended to be using the last, has it been a year now? I've been using this as my first impressions ink. It's not the most exciting ink, but it does have the advantage of being washable if it gets in your clothes. And I'm going to be doing some experiments with it. I'm looking at getting, I need some supplies to do the experiments, but anyway, this pen itself it's not one of my exciting pens. It's just a very pleasant pen to write with. I've taken it to school a few times, used it as my daily writer, and just very nice pen. This was another recent first impression. The ink level's a bit lower in this one. This is a Pevdi, which is a Hungarian make. I got a little bit more information about Pevdi thanks to a comment on that link. Unfortunately, they don't make pens like this anymore, but Pevdi is still very much around. On the information I was given, the term PAX came up. I do have a PAX fountain pen in the hopper to get a first impression. I haven't done it yet. Washable. I haven't done it yet, but I will. It kind of looks like a Parker 45, to be honest. I have the feeling that may have been the end of the ink in this pen. Takes a lot of unscrewing to open it. Oh, not quite. So I wonder what's going on here. That's annoying when it happens. There we go. So I don't know what just happened there. Hasn't been a problem for me, but, these things happen from time to time with fountain pens. All I did off screen there is flick it a couple times on the barrel like this, And that was enough to get the ink flowing again, so I don't know what happened. All right, so this week there's been a bit of news that the Parker 51 remake is coming out. I have heard some suggestions that the Jinhao 85 may be the same pen. I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever buy one. I'll see reviews and things, but I'm more interested in vintage. And honestly, I own a Parker 51 vintage, but I don't know that it's particularly my favorite pen. You don't see me ink it up very often, do you? But we're going to get off this blue kick here for a while with, well, more blue ink. But it's a different kind. Whoops. How about we write the name of the pen first? So it's a Parker 51. I'm pretty sure it's a medium. And the ink in it is Parker. It's Parker Quink. But it's not washable blue. It is blue-black. Which is a very nice, B-L-A-C-K, which is a very nice color by Parker, I think. And it goes on kind of intense like this, but when it dries, it has a little bit of a teal character to it. It's just very attractive. Okay, I like it. So that's what matters, right? Because it's my channel, my pens. I get to do what I want. This is a Parker Duofold. This has been kind of my writer at home. I have so many pens inked up with washable blue that this one hasn't been getting the attention. All these first impressions. In fact, I've got a... I don't remember its name. Anyway, one of the pens that I've been I restored, and it's a lot of fun to write with. So I've been writing with it a lot instead of other pens. So this is a Parker Quink Black. One thing that came out of this whole Parker Blue thing I went through a few weeks ago is I did learn that, yes, Parker did used to call this permanent black. They used to have a permanent blue. They no longer use those terms in the names of the inks. And somewhere that transition happened, I just never noticed and kept calling it permanent black and permanent blue. So I learned something. So that's part of the fun of doing this, is I do learn things all the time about fountain pens that I thought I knew. My next pen is a Parker Slimfold, which I suppose is more of a UK version of the Duofold. Mine is missing its cap finial. I'm told they come in several sizes. I don't really remember what size this one is. I guess I don't care too much. The nib on this one is a nice nib. Again, I want to go with medium. Parker's lean broad anyway. The ink in it is Parker Quink. Oh, guess what? Red. Which I was able to buy an older bottle of Parker Quink Red, so that was pretty exciting. I won't say that it's the best red I've ever had, but it's a nice ink, and I do like Parker inks, so I guess that's a win. I have a pen here that I've been using for envelopes and such. Also, usually like to use this ink with tags that I keep on my pens in my pen case when they're not in use. This is a Parker Jotter, which, it's a nice enough pen. It's just not my favorite Parker pen. Ooh. Mainly I don't like it because it's on the small side. Yeah, medium again. The ink, though, isn't Parker, for a change. This is Platinum Carbon Black. And this truly is a permanent ink. It's one of those nano type of inks. So it's little particles suspended in the liquid, which is mostly water. And of course, once it goes down, it's down. And if you ever let it dry out in your pen, good luck. I feel like it may be trying to dry out in my pen a little bit right now, so after this video, I think it's going to go do some writing. Or get cleaned out entirely, one or the other. Yeah, I'm over here trying to write on the Post-it note with it, and it is not going well. Whoops, I just froze myself. So, I got it writing a little bit better there, but yeah, I think it needs to either be washed or written with a bit. My next pen has been one of my problem children. This is a Stipula Etruria Magma edition. I fell in lust with it when I saw it, and it's been a bit of a problem child. Now, I've done some work on it and improved its writing. I got a full page out of it yesterday with no problem. So it is does seem to be settling in. But it's a Stipula Etruria 88 Magma finish, and it has a T-flex with its nib. And I am told that they were all, the batch of these that came out, the T-flexes were all defective. So, lucky me. Let's see, I gotta look what the ink is. The ink in it, I think, is Lamy Mango. I don't know that for sure because there's no name on the bottle. It's a bottle I bought when I was in Fargo the last time, long before the pandemic, and at Zanbros. So I think that's what it is, because I think that's their special edition that came out that year, but I don't remember. It's nice looking ink. Yeah, see, we're getting issues with the Stipula here. It's a nice looking pen. It's a very comfortable pen. But you would have a hard time talking me into buying another Stipula. And I know I'm judging the whole brand based on one pen, but yee! And we have my Conklin word gauge. I've gotten rid of all my Conklin pens except this one. For some reason, I just love this one. Is it anything special? No. But I like it. So it has a medium Conklin nib on it. And the ink in it is Parker Quink. Definitely a Parker thing going on tonight. Or this week, I should say. Parker Quink. Blue. Just plain old blue. Not washable. So when my supplies get here, that'll be an interesting experiment to have. Pretty cheap supplies. It's like a $2 supply. They just don't sell them in rural North Dakota. Alright, so when I did my Q&A video a few weeks ago, one of the questions was, why hasn't this been out? This beautiful, beautiful platinum Izumo. And, there's a good reason. I just thought I'd need to give my other pens a chance to be used. And because I was using it pretty heavily. And I was looking there, I was like, oh no, there's all kinds of scratches and pits on it, but it's dust. But just a beautiful work of art. Might help if I turn this light here so it's actually on the page, because why else would I have the light? But beautiful, beautiful pen. And it doesn't hurt that it writes well. So this is a Platinum Izumo. Has a coarse nib, which is Platinum's term for double broad, which has been ground to a cursive italic by Dan Smith, the Nibsmith. The ink in it is Kyo-no-oto. Let's see if I can pronounce this one. Sakuranezumi. Sakuranezumi. Which is apparently references the appearance of cherry blossoms against a cloudy sky. I don't know if it does, but it is a nice color. And this swatch should show the whole cursive italic thing, because it's definitely a lot broader one way than it is the other way. And finally, last pen, which has been correcting tests and things like that a lot this week. This is a East German pen. This is a Garant Silke. It does want to come unscrewed, I discovered, when it's carried in my shirt pocket. Luckily, no inky disasters happened. But Garant Silke. This has an oblique medium nib. And the ink in it is Herbin. Poussière de Lune. So one of the things I was thinking as I'm looking at all these is there's no green. I feel like I need a green. Wouldn't mind a gray too. So probably expect to see some green or some gray or maybe both next week. I'll just also mention I put a link, because of this Sakuranezumi, to some swatch tests of the various Kyo-no-oto inks. They're just very nice colors. And I'm on an ink buying moratorium, although I broke it with buying that Parker Blue. But I would make an exception if a new Kyo-no-oto ink came out. Before I leave this camera, I'm going to zoom out just a bit, so hopefully you can see the whole thing. Before I leave this camera, I just want to point out, you probably saw some better quality photography at the beginning and hopefully at the end of this than in the last few weeks. No, my camera is not fixed. It turns out I can buy one for less than it's going to cost to fix it. So I went camera shopping. I ended up buying a used camera that's very similar to what I'm replacing. It's the modern version of it on B&H Photo, and I went with a different brand because apparently Panasonic and Leica both make this camera. So I have this Leica. It's a Deluxe 7, and I like the Leica. Menu's a little easier to use. The controls, they're basically the same. So there have been some changes with the modernization and stuff. This is a newer camera than what I had before. But I like it. The only complaint I really have is I can't run the software that operates the camera on my iPhone. On my iPad. I have to run it on my iPhone, which, to be fair, is less bulky. But it's also sort of a pain because, if I go outdoors and do video again, I tend to use that cell phone as my microphone. So I'll have to think through that one, or else maybe just use the regular camcorder when I'm outdoors. I don't know. It's not like it happens that often. I started doing it more this summer, doing the talking part of some of my videos outdoors, but yeah, anyway, that's replaced the cell phone. So I now have a decent camera again. So I will have to pay a small fee to Panasonic for finding out what's wrong with the camera, but I decided that I'm better off with a new camera instead of the horrendous repair fee. So yeah, not a happy ending to that story, but at least it's an ending, and I've got a nice camera. And yeah, used it cost about what the equivalent Panasonic, the LX100 would cost. So I'm happy with it. And I will be more careful in future about the wind. So those are the fountain pens and inks that I've been using throughout the week. Like I said, I can't quite get the hang of the app on the phone, which worked. I played with it on Saturday and played with that instead of filming this, but now it won't work. I don't understand. So, yeah, some setting I goofed up I got to figure out. So, I got the phone. So, you saw I have the Parker 51 in this week's batch. That's because the new Parker 51 is coming out. Now, I will admit I'm not super excited about the new Parker 51. It just, I don't really care for the old one, so why would I like the new one? And the new one gets rid of some of the things I like about the old one, like the fact that it's a slip cap. You know, it's a daily writer pen. And now they've gone with a screw cap, which I guess is a more luxury experience, but why not a slip cap? Come on, dudes. And I don't know, it's a pen I've just never been that excited about. I'm glad I have one in my collection, but So probably won't be seeing one in my videos ever, unless somebody decides to loan me one, which hasn't happened in a long time. Excuse me. So I just thought I would mention about, you saw a lot of Parker ink this week. It looks like Parker has changed its formulation. I remember distinctly that they used to brag in their advertising about something in their ink that dissolves junk out of pens. The old ink or dried ink or whatever. And they don't have that on their bottles anymore. They don't have permanent on their bottles. They're just plain ordinary black, blue, black. And that's it. So, not a bad or good thing. It's just a thing. I'd like to see Parker branch out a little bit more. They make what I think are good pens. They just, the inks are a little not exciting. But on the other hand, these are inks that are reliable in a vintage pen. These are safe inks. So something to be said for that too. And, when I get a vintage pen, like from the 1930s, like the Luxor that I couldn't think of its name earlier, I like the security of knowing that I have a washable ink in the pen till I know if I can trust it or not. So, yeah. As far as the camera saga, I guess I've been through most of that. I'm just a little disappointed that tonight I can't get the remote part to work the way I want it to. Because, it'll record, but I can't zoom all of a sudden. I can't change settings. I can't do anything. Which I was adjusting all those things Saturday. So maybe I should have filmed this on Saturday. I don't know. In other exciting news, I can't remember if I reported this last week, but the state has lifted its mask mandate. So I guess I'm not policing masks anymore, but it just makes me feel a lot less secure. I haven't really traveled anywhere. But I'm starting to think, why not do a day trip somewhere? You don't have to be around people. It's North Dakota. So I may do that. I don't know. I've got a lot of work to do at home, though, too, so maybe I won't. But, okay, I'm really depressing this week, aren't I? I just kind of still not up to my normal self after the week I had. I guess I'll just get into that. This week, when you teach, there's a lot of things you just can't talk to people about, private information and such. So there were some student things that happened this week I can't talk about, but one that I can talk about because it's public record. We did have a suicide this week, and it's just things like that, more than what goes on in the classroom, or what really take it out on you as far as being a teacher. The classroom, yeah, that's tough for the first couple of years, and occasionally you get a tough class, but overall you learn how to handle that. But yeah, the other things that go on in their lives and such, that's what's really hard to deal with. And the suicide, I know the kid, I like him, I like his family, and it just seemed to come out of nowhere. And the reality is we don't know what's going on inside of other people's heads. We don't even always know what's going on inside our own head. And sometimes these things just come out of the blue. And you always wonder, were there warning signs or anything? And, he's been out of school for a while, so it's not like there were warning signs for me because I haven't seen him. But I know that's what's going through people's minds. And there may not have been. Who can say? That's the hard thing with suicide, is you're left guessing and wondering. And when people die in other ways, like in an accident or they're sick or something like that, you just feel like, well, there was nothing I could do. But you always have that feeling with suicide that you could have done something. So yeah, that's probably been the one weighing on my mind the most this week. Too late to do anything. And like I said, he's been out of school, so haven't even been in touch with him. He still has a sibling in school and some relatives in school. And yeah, that's going to be hard when his sister comes back to school. But, at least she does have a good family behind her. So hopefully to help her deal with this as best you can, because there's suicide in my own family, and I know my family members, I was too young to really have a clue, but my family members really never got over it, and I don't know if you ever really do. So that's really been my downer. That's why Friday, this would have been a really depressing Pens in Use. I think while I was filming the pens, I did manage to act tearful for a while, but yeah, it's weighing on me again. So probably brought on by my frustration with the damn camera, but whatever. We're gonna move on. So yeah, it's a new week, and it's not one of those little things that you just get over. It's just something you have to deal with, and I'm going to try to deal with it. So, on to happier topics. I want to congratulate Stephen Brown on his 10-year anniversary doing pens on YouTube. I was not there at the beginning, sorry. I heard of him later on once I kind of got into buying fountain pens, and I started researching about them and discovered him. He was probably about the only one doing it back then. I had a YouTube channel. When did I start my YouTube channel? June, I wrote it down because I figured I'd want to bring it up. June 12th, 2007 is when I started this channel. But I wasn't doing fountain pens back then. I used to do these travel videos. So, I'd go to the north unit of the Teddy Roosevelt State Park. Or I used to have a good one on Watkins Glen. But one of the things I used to do, because I just didn't understand the legalities as well back then, I used copyrighted music. So I had to delete all those videos that used copyrighted music. So that was depressing, and it does get rid of a big chunk of my history. So what's left it's okay, but I did have some neat places. So I guess that's an excuse I need to go back and visit them, right? I started doing fountain pens. My very first fountain pen review video was July 3rd, 2014. I reviewed a Noodler's Nippon set because I won a prototype a little bit before they were released on the market in a contest I'd entered. And so I did a video on it. It was about 3 minutes long, but yeah, the bug kind of bit me there, and I just kept going, reviewing more pens in my collection. And I used to say, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do this because I'm running out of pens, but, 2014, like I said, I haven't been doing it as long as Stephen Brown, so this is what, 7 years later, 6 years later, something like that, I I am still adding pens to my collection. I've gotten rid of pens too, but so it's yeah, I haven't run out of pens. So I'm glad to see Stephen Brown's doing. I know he's the big influence on a lot of people like me. It was actually a video he did that encouraged me to finally start doing videos on fountain pens, because the travel videos were a lot of work. And if you'd seen what I was working with back then, it was one of the old iMacs that has the dome and then the stock with the monitor on it, and using iMovie on that was a pain in the ass back then. So I don't miss that. So much easier now. And it was just a lot of work doing video, and the computers were slow back then to do it. And yeah, I have occasionally edited videos on my cell phone, and once I get this thing figured out, I will have good camera for this part of the videos too. So I'm looking forward to that for sure. But anyway, so congratulations to Stephen Brown. And I guess the other thing that's coming up is now that I've been filming this part and the pen part of my videos separately, one thing I've been learning is the batch filming really does help me get through a lot of videos at once. But at the same time, now I am sloshing around with all kinds of pens full of Parker Quink washable blue. In fact, I put a moratorium on batch filming for a while because I've got a whole bunch of pens over here I want to batch film some more, but I gotta get these used up. So yeah, I not quite as far ahead as I hoped I'd get, because the whole logistics of having a bunch of pens inked up all with the same ink just gets a little tiresome. So some of my pen pals are getting letters written entirely in Parker Quink washable blue. Different pens on each page, of course, but so and the bottle is almost empty, so there is that. But anyway, well, I'll get things figured out. Life will go on, and it's just this week it's hard to go through a school year and not have some kind of a tragedy when you're dealing with people. It's just having this number of tragedies in 1 week. One of these would be enough for a whole school year. So that just kind of took the wind out of my sails this week. So that's why I haven't been myself. So I'll be better next week. I just need time. So, well, thank you for watching and for being there, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.